Hi there, this is Datila and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Friday, April 14th, 2023, and tonight I will only be talking about Friday Night SmackDown. So I wasn't sure what the start time to Rampage was because it was supposed to air right after the playoffs, and I didn't know that it was going to air at 6:45 during SmackDown, which was the last 15 minutes. So I haven't watched Rampage, haven't seen Rampage, so that's why I'm only reviewing tonight's SmackDown. All right, so let's get started. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is that Shinsuke Nakamura made his big return tonight on SmackDown. He had a match against Madcap Moss. I want to say that maybe this was more of a squash match because this was kind of a short match, and match was mostly Nakamura, which I feel bad for Madcap Moss for because he's not a terrible wrestler. He just got saddled with a horrible gimmick, and right now it seems to me like he's just a generic wrestler. He's honestly just there. But Nakamura came back sporting some new attire, which actually looked pretty cool. At the end of the match, on the Titantron, it showed Karrion Kross, and it looks like they're setting up a program with Karrion Kross. Now, this is Nakamura's first feud back, so I'm assuming he's going to win this feud. But with Karrion Kross, on the other hand, he hasn't really amounted much to anything. He came back, and it looked like they were going to insert him in a program with Roman. That didn't happen. He got in a program with Drew, then Rey Mysterio, and now we're here with Nakamura. So let's see where this goes. All right, so Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn open SmackDown with a promo. Sami Zayn starts talking about how it's been only 2 weeks since a historic main event where the tag titles were on the line. This is the first time the tag titles have ever main evented WrestleMania. He says that these two guys have been together since they've been best friends, close out the show as champions. And they haven't really had time to process their victory because of everything with the bloodline and the draft. KO says that the unpredictability of the draft is loved by everyone. And he goes on to say that regardless of where they end up, they are the undisputed tag champions of the WWE, and they will defend them every single time, whether they do it on Raw or SmackDown. And that they know the Usos are coming for a rematch. So the Usos come out, and they start talking about pressure. And Sami Zayn fires back, and he says the Usos had to report it empty-handed to their daddy Roman. And Jimmy says the bloodline is more stronger and dangerous than ever, and that the Usos will become the 9-time tag champions. Jay reinforces the fact that there are no cracks in the bloodline and says that Sami will backstab KO like he backstabbed his whole family. Sami Zayn says he wishes he could be like Jay and be good at lying to himself. And Sami goes on to say that it doesn't matter what he says because the Usos didn't come out to talk. And the Usos surround the ring along with Solo Sikoa. And then Matt Riddle comes out and he goes after Sikoa. Solo attempts to do the Samoan spike, but he misses. And then Riddle hits Solo Sikoa with the knee. So this segment is going to lead into the main event. It's going to be Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa. So I thought this was a good promo, but we know we're going to get a rematch. We just don't know when. We actually find out later on in the show, which I'll talk about when I get there. So after this, we get L.A. Knight versus Xavier Woods. And I didn't have a problem with this match. This match was a good match. And Michael Cole praising Xavier Woods as a singles competitor. Now, my one complaint about this was the fact that L.A. Knight lost. He lost. And it's like, what the heck is going on with L.A. Knight? Nick, no, seriously. First, L.A. Knight loses his feud with Bray Wyatt. He loses to Kofi Kingston. He loses to Xavier Woods. He gets left off the WrestleMania card. And now he's losing to Xavier Woods again? Seriously? Like, is LA Knight ever going to get a win here? Now, I get that right here. They try to do that. Xavier Woods grabbed a handful of tides. So maybe their feud isn't over. But still, really? Like, you're having LA Knight lose consecutively. So I'm not happy with the finish to this match. I think LA Knight should have won. This leads into a backstage segment with Imperium. And Imperium is talking. Well, Gunter is talking to Vinci and Kaiser. And Xavier Woods interrupts by playing Francesca. And Gunter says that Woods clearly wants his attention. Xavier Woods says that he'll be the hottest free agent in a couple of weeks because he doesn't know what show he will be on. And so basically Xavier Woods is challenging Gunter for the Intercontinental title. I think that's the first ever time match. Should be a good match, honestly. We get a Matt Riddle backstage segment in which Sami Zayn is talking to him, saying that he would feel awful if anything happens to Matt Riddle. Sami Zayn tells Matt Riddle to be careful, but yet Kevin Owens is encouraging Matt Riddle to take his revenge. Remember, Solo Sikoa is the reason that Matt Riddle was out of action for a few months. And then Sami Zayn's face throughout this whole segment was hilarious. We get a Judgment Day backstage interview in which Damian Priest says that Santos Escobar can go, but Santos Escobar can't do is pick his friends, and he said he will address Bad Bunny in the ring. So Judgment Day goes out there. Damian Priest cuts a promo saying that Backlash is in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the host is his amigo, his friend, Bad Bunny. He basically sends Bad Bunny a message saying that if he wants to attend the show and sit front row, that's fine, but warns him not to put his hands on his family. And he shows the video of himself putting Bad Bunny through the announce table. I was there. That was at the Raw after me, and that was actually a pretty cool moment to see that live and to capture it. Then he shows the video again, but he plays it in slow motion. You know, it's kind of funny how much things change in 2 years. Bad Bunny went from teaming with Damian Priest to, it seems like he's going to wrestle against Damian Priest. It went from being Damian Priest and Bad Bunny versus Miz and Morrison to maybe potentially it being Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio at Backlash. So the thing that I found hilarious was that LOW comes out where their music plays. And Zelina shows up and she has a chancla in her hand. That shit was hilarious. Like, anybody who knows anything about the Latino culture knows that it's common for Latino moms to hit their children with chanclas. So I thought that was really hilarious. She came out with that chancla. So that segment was used to set up Santos Escobar versus Damian Priest. This was actually a good match. I had no problem with this match. Of course, Rhea Ripley and Dominic get involved in this, but, you know, LOW was at ringside to take care of them. And the funny thing about this was that Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, they're over there beating up on Dominic, and you can see Michael Cole in the background saying, yeah, to take him out, take him out. That shit was hilarious, honestly, if you ask me. Now, despite the fact that Zelina ended up sending Rhea Ripley into the barricade with a Hurricanrana, it's not enough, and Damian Priest ends up victorious here. And then Rey Mysterio comes out at the end. Now, I have to say, I get that they want to keep Judgment Day strong. You know, Judgment Day has been booked really good. But they literally just formed LOW and they lost this match. It's like, what's going on here? Like, I know you can book every faction to be strong, but Judgment Day has lost. They've lost in the past. It wouldn't have hurt to lose this one match. I mean, what has LOW or like Allo del Fantasma done since they come to the main roster? They had a few with Hero, but that really didn't amount to much. So it seems to me like they're going to suffer the same fate that Damage Control did. You know, Damage Control came in really strong, and look where they are now. So next we get the Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez Championship Celebration. And as we all know, weddings, contract signings, and celebrations in wrestling always end horribly. And this wasn't really no exception. Basically, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan are saying that they're happy to be champions. Raquel thanks Liv Morgan for allowing her to use it as a weapon. They're interrupted by Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, who come out. And Sonya Deville starts bringing up the fact that Lita got attacked and they didn't even face the real champions. And that Liv Morgan basically mentions here that they're going to face Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville next after they go talk to Adam Pearce and a brawl breaks out. Correct me if I am mistaken, but didn't Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler win a four-way at WrestleMania? And yet they're not even in the title picture? I mean, maybe they used the Men in Black neuralizer here to make us forget that, but wouldn't that mean that Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey are next in line for those tag titles? So, or are we just gonna like hold off on that? Because I could have sworn they were next in line. And they actually should be tag team champions. They weren't randomly thrown together. There's history between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. So I'm assuming we'll eventually get to that. And then after this, we had the returning Shinsuke Nakamura, which I talked about at the beginning. We get a quick segment with the Viking Raiders that attacked Braun Strowman and Ricochet. In the main event, ended up being Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa. Now, before the match started, Paul Heyman, informed Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens that in 2 weeks, the Usos will get their rematch. Now, something very interesting happened, if you guys were paying attention. Paul Heyman says that Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, is losing his patience with the two of you. But he's looking at Jimmy and Jey Uso and yet pointing at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, the Usos failed to notice this. So it seems to me like if the Usos fail to win back those tag titles, they might just be kicked out of the bloodline. So something interesting happened today. So earlier today, the WWE tweeted that the May 27th Imperium live event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia will now be WWE Night of Champions. Now, originally this was supposed to be King and Queen of the Ring, but now it's Night of Champions. So this is very interesting because it begs the question, are the Usos going to regain their tag titles? Because as we all know, Sami Zayn cannot go to Saudi Arabia and Kevin Owens is probably not going to go. That means that either Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are dropping those tag belts, or when they do the draft, they're going to split the belts up and maybe Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn won't be the ones defending those titles at Night of Champions. So you just got to wait and see, but that is a very interesting point that happened. Okay, so this was a good match. At some point during this match, the Usos, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn all get sent to the back. Matt Riddle does the suplex to Solo Sikoa. Then the Usos come back, and so do Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It's not enough, though. Solo Sikoa hits the Samoan spike to Matt Riddle, and he is victorious. And then at the end, Matt Riddle gets put through the announce table, and Solo Sikoa flips it over, and that is how SmackDown ends. They're clearly, obviously, building to a 6-man tag match, possibly at Backlash. So I noticed one thing about tonight's SmackDown is that throughout the whole night, they kept plugging the draft. They kept talking about the draft, about how it's unpredictable. And they were talking about how it starts in 2 weeks. It's on SmackDown and then continues into Raw. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to do the draft. Is the draft even going to matter? Are we going to get some random wild card rule down the road or an invitational down the road? I am curious to see what they do with the tag titles. Are they going to finally split the tag titles so the Raw and SmackDown each have respective championships? Are they going to separate Roman's titles? Or are they just going to give him one title and create a new title for either Raw or SmackDown? That's one thing I'm curious about. All right. So with that being said, that concludes this review. Overall, tonight's SmackDown was all right. It wasn't the greatest thing, but it was all right. I'm not too happy about LA Knight losing to Xavier Woods again. Santos Escobar versus Damian Priest was good. It wouldn't have hurt for Santos Escobar to have won that match. So I would give tonight's Smack a 5 out of 10. And with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching. For the continuous support, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And hopefully I can go live and see you guys on Monday. If not, the usual record upload. But if anything, regardless, I'll see you guys Monday. Bye.